The night had settled quietly over the city, casting a silver glow through the tall glass windows of the Astoria Grand Hotel. Room 512 was dimly lit, a single lamp casting a warm golden hue over polished floors and crisp white linens. Outside, the distant hum of traffic was muffled by thick curtains, leaving only the stillness of the room and the gentle clink of a glass being set down. Daniel sat on the edge of the bed, tie loosened, sleeves rolled, sipping slowly from a short glass of red wine. He had traveled for work for years, hopping from city to city, hotel to hotel, but this trip felt heavier, lonelier. The comfort of crisp linens and concierge greetings had lost their charm. Maybe it was the silence. Maybe it was the ache of too many solitary nights and no one waiting at home. A soft knock at the door stirred him. "Room service," came a voice, soft, honeyed, with a European accent he couldn't quite place. He hadn't ordered anything, but curiosity pulled him to the door. When he opened it, there she was. Tall, confident, dark hair swept into a neat bun, skin like porcelain kissed by candlelight. Her eyes, hazel, playful, met his with a knowing calm. She wore the hotel uniform, but on her, it looked tailored and elegant, as if it were made for her. "I hope I'm not interrupting," she said, holding a small silver tray with chocolate truffles and a single rose. "A welcome gift for our most loyal guest." Daniel smiled, caught between politeness and intrigue. "That's thoughtful. Please come in." She stepped inside with the grace of someone who never second-guessed her movements. Her heels made no sound on the carpeted floor. She placed the tray gently on the desk and turned to him. "My name is Alina. I work at the front desk. I noticed you've stayed with us 10 times this year." He raised an eyebrow. "You've been counting?" Her lips curled into a smile. "I pay attention to detail." He chuckled, stepping closer. "Well, Alina, thank you. That's a rare thing in this business." She tilted her head. "So is kindness." A silence fell, not awkward, but charged, like a held breath. The kind of pause where two people linger just long enough to let curiosity bloom into possibility. "Do you often bring roses to your guests?" he asked. "Only the ones who look like they could use a little warmth." Her tone was soft but certain. Daniel looked at her, not just her beauty, but the confidence behind her words, the subtle vulnerability in her gaze. "I'm guessing you don't do this often," he said gently. She met his eyes. "Number, but sometimes connections find us when we least expect them." The moment hovered. Then quietly, she reached for the small speaker on the desk and turned on soft music, slow jazz, low and intimate. She glanced at him. "May I stay a little while? Just to talk." He nodded. "I'd like that." They sat by the window, the city lights painting her cheekbones in golden reflections. She asked about his work, his travels, his favorite places. He asked about her name, her accent, the books she loved. They shared more in an hour than most couples do in a month. There was no rush, no agenda, just the electricity of real human connection. At one point, Alina reached over to pour him another glass of wine. Her fingers brushed his. A pause. "I shouldn't," she whispered, though her eyes said something else. Daniel leaned in, slow and deliberate. Not a kiss, just closeness. He could feel her breath, could see the delicate flutter of her lashes. "Tell me to stop," he murmured. She didn't. Instead, her hand found his shoulder, a gentle touch, but purposeful. "You make it hard to follow the rules," she whispered. "Then let's make our own." What followed wasn't rushed, wasn't reckless. It was tender, measured. They moved like music, gentle hands exploring arms, backs, faces, relearning what intimacy felt like when it was born from conversation and not convenience. He touched her as if she were made of something rare. She responded like she hadn't been touched in months. And maybe she hadn't. They remained close, half draped on the chaise by the window, watching the night stretch deeper. Her head rested on his chest. His hand traced slow circles on her back. "Do you believe in chance encounters?" she asked quietly. He thought for a moment. "I believe in moments that feel like they were waiting for us." She smiled. "I like that." He looked at her for a long while, memorizing the quiet lines of her face. "What made you knock on my door tonight?" She hesitated, then said softly, "Because you looked like someone who listens. And tonight, I needed to be heard." Daniel reached for her hand, intertwining his fingers with hers. "And what do you need to say?" Alina exhaled, her voice almost a whisper. "That sometimes I feel like I'm living behind a smile, polished, professional, but alone, so deeply alone it echoes." He nodded, understanding more than she knew. "Then let tonight be the silence that answers that echo." She leaned in, resting her forehead against his. And in that shared stillness, they both felt the weight of what they had carried begin to dissolve. They stayed like that for hours, talking, listening, sometimes in words, sometimes in silence. As dawn teased the edge of the sky, they lay tangled in each other's warmth, still wrapped in the moment that had chosen them. She smiled sleepily. "I'll have to sneak out soon." He nodded. "But maybe not forever." A pause. Then she kissed his hand. "I'll see you at checkout," she whispered with a smile. She gathered her things with careful grace, smoothing her skirt and brushing a lock of hair behind her ear. She looked at him once more before opening the door, her expression soft and unreadable. As the door closed gently behind her, Daniel stayed still, letting the quiet wash over him. It wasn't the silence of solitude this time. It was the echo of something meaningful, lingering. He rose slowly, walking to the window. The sky was brightening now, painted in strokes of lavender and pink. The city was waking up, unaware of the small miracle that had happened in room 512. He sipped the last of his wine, the warmth of it reminding him of her touch. He didn't know if he'd see her again, but for the first time in a long time, he hoped. Back at the front desk, Alina smiled as she typed quietly on her computer. She didn't look up when another guest approached. Her thoughts were still with him, with the night that reminded her she was more than a polished smile. And in the stillness between their lives, a spark remained. Not every connection needs a promise. Some are complete just by being felt.